Tell us what RABDF means.
The Royal Association of British Dairy Farmers, we have member representation from all over the UK. We also put on the dairy event every year up at the NEC, and we put on farm walks, training days, and do a lot of work within government and senior levels to influence authorities going forward on dairy farming.
Now, you've just chaired a conference on superherds. A very sort of strangely controversial subject, mainly because the mainstream media has taken on the word super, and meaning big herds, and they've assimilated it to battery hens, haven't they, in some strange way?
They have. They say, well, is it like keeping battery hens? But no, it's not like that at all. And I think it probably stems back to the headline about the 8,000 cow unit proposed for Lincolnshire. But a perception of a super herd, to my mind, is actually a good quality herd. It doesn't matter the size of it, it's still got to be managed well and run well.
One of your lead speakers, Neil Baker, who we'll be going to later, he's demonstrated with his 1,000 cows that high welfare is his core. The cow is core, is the most important thing.
Very much so, and you have to focus on that. It doesn't matter whether you've got 20 cows or 2,000 cows, because without the cows you haven't got a business. So making sure those cows are performing for you and you're working for them as well is very important.
Now, as a Somerset farmer, dairy and Somerset go hand in hand, don't they?
Very much so.
So you're very, on a personal footing here. You're very sort of, I wouldn't say touchy, but you're very sensitive to the fact when media starts attacking an issue on dairying, like superherds. Does that knock on the door of all dairy farms?
Well, I think it does, but I mean, like any business, we all try and grow bigger. I mean, that's the aim of all businesses, to develop and grow. And we're lucky in this area. We do have a lot of good, strong dairy farms. A lot of them now have maybe 450, 500 cows, but they've grown, developed as businesses over the last 20 years. And you're not going to say they're going to stop at those numbers, but as they get bigger, they get better at managing those herds. And I think it's sometimes what we call the small herds, which if it's 50 or 60 cows, they say, oh, it's not fair, but actually it's down to how you run your business. Whether it's 50 or 60 cows or 500 cows, it probably takes more management on 500 than it does on 50 or 60.
And management seems to be a key issue, doesn't it? There seem to be very few people who can do what Neil's doing to an extent in the country. Do you think that will change over the next few years, where people will take on board these new management demands, that having more cows will...
I think so. I mean, you've got to look at the agricultural numbers are rising again in the colleges, which means that people are being trained again, of course, which is another key factor, and people are willing to learn. And if there's enthusiasm and optimism in the industry, you get more people wanting to join it. It's always those who say, oh, the world is going to end, there's no future, why should we do this? Then the next generation will say, well, Dad's been miserable all his life, I'm not going to do that job, why should I be miserable all my life? And I think with any business, to go forward, it's got to be seen as being exciting and worth joining, and it's exciting if it's a challenge.
Public perception is another aspect, isn't it? I mean, the RABDF and we're here at the Bath and West, both relatively publicly known organisations. Dairy farmers are individuals, aren't they? You represent dairy farmers. What can you do? What can you do to help dairy farmers to say, to combat the antis, if you like? Well,
the positive message is a key thing. Positive message is a key thing. Also, making sure that the processors of our milk also get that message that without dairy farmers there isn't an industry, and we do need that industry going forward. But the marketing and promotion, and actually getting people back to their rural roots is a key thing.
And do you think we're seeing people who enjoy coming on holiday to rural areas, lots of them stay on farms? Is that one aspect that we can sort of encourage?
Very much, I think it is. I mean, I personally have a campsite where we have, probably over the summer, we'll have maybe 500 people through. Now, I can sell more farming to them in a day than I can by going on TV or anything else. And Open Farm Sunday, promoted by Leaf, is another way that people come out on farm. But equally, if we can take animals into schools again and go back to some of the old ways that used to happen before we had all this health and safety legislation coming in, then I think that's a key thing as well. Is actually there are certainly organisations, Farm Link is one of them in the Somerset area, that does a lot of work with farming and education.
So we need to become ambassadors for our industry if we're going to want an industry that's going to stay here for the future.
You do, and you have to be prepared to talk to the public at any time. It's a key part of the job. Not all farmers can talk to the public, but those that can really should take that opportunity.
And David, talking of farming, I gather you've got some straw to shift around.
I have. Back to work. No more wearing a suit now. Back to do some work.